There is a quiet, invisible force that doesn't steal your life all at once. Instead, it slowly drains your focus, destroys your self-respect, and leaves you hollow, while making you believe you are completely in control. Have you ever noticed how, after giving in to your deepest urges, a sudden wave of emptiness washes over you? While the rest of the world tells you that seeking constant pleasure is normal, you are left feeling weak, scattered, and deeply detached from the person you actually want to become. Many people will tell themselves, "It's just a phase," or "It doesn't hurt anyone." But what ancient Eastern masters understood is that there is a devastatingly high price to pay for an undisciplined mind. In ancient Japan, during the Muromachi period, there was a concept practiced within Zen monasteries known as Yoki, the preservation of vital spiritual energy. The masters knew that the most dangerous battle a person would ever face was not against an enemy with a steel sword, but against the ravenous desires within their own mind. They taught that lust is not a harmless passion. It is a fire that burns the very house it sits in. Before we examine exactly how this psychological trap dismantles your destiny, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment below. What is the biggest distraction currently holding you back from your true potential? Your engagement helps this message reach those who need to hear it most. Chapter 1. The Deceived Disciple. The warning we are discussing today is perfectly illustrated by the story of Teishi, a young craftsman living in old Kyoto. Teishi was highly talented. He had a sharp intellect, a family that respected him, and a craft that could have secured his future for generations. But Teishi had a hidden compromise. He was a slave to his visual desires. Every evening, instead of refining his art or meditating with his thoughts, he would seek out the pleasure districts of the city. He promised himself every morning that tonight would be different. He vowed to focus, to save his wealth, and to clear his mind. But the pattern was always identical. Strong morning intentions, weak evening execution. Eventually, the internal rot began to show on the outside. When his work demanded absolute precision, his hands would shake from mental exhaustion. When his family tried to have deep conversations with him, his mind would wander, trapped in loops of visual cravings. He was physically present, but spiritually absent. He was living on emotional autopilot, until the day Teishi failed to complete a masterpiece commissioned by the local lord. His focus broke at a critical moment, ruining months of work. Standing before his master, disgraced and empty-handed, his heart raced, his hands sweated, and his reality collapsed. He was dismissed in shame. That night, Teishi fled to a nearby Zen monastery, broken. He sought out an elderly monk and confessed his hidden addiction, asking for a cure. The monk looked at him and said something that changed Teishi's life forever. "Your hands are shaking not because your craft is difficult, but because your spirit is divided. You are trying to build a castle while constantly digging out its foundation." Chapter 2. The Metaphor of the Leaky Vessel. Bomon. The first principle the Zen master taught Teishi was the concept of bomon, the closing of the sensory gates. The master placed a beautiful wooden bucket filled to the brim with water in front of Teishi. Within an hour, the water level had dropped significantly. Upon closer inspection, Teishi saw dozens of microscopic hairline fractures leaking water into the soil. The master explained, "Your vital energy, your focus, and your masculine drive are like this water. Lust does not destroy you by breaking you in half all at once. It destroys you through microscopic leaks. Every time you feed an undisciplined craving with your eyes, you drill another hole into your spirit. When your focus is constantly fragmented by visual lust, your dopamine system is hijacked. You become dependent on cheap, unearned gratification." A leading neuroscientist from Tokyo University, who has spent 15 years studying cognitive decline and behavioral addictions, explains this phenomenon. When the brain is chronically exposed to hyperstimulating visual triggers, the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for willpower, long-term planning, and emotional control, literally begins to atrophy. What feels like a harmless release is actually the systematic deregulation of your brain's reward processing system. Chapter 3. Mushin. The Blade of Pure Focus. To reverse this destruction, the Zen lifestyle does not ask you to fight the desire. It asks you to starve it through Mushin, the state of no mind, or absolute presence. The master told Teishi, "When a craving arises, do not argue with it. Do not bargain with yourself. The moment you begin to negotiate with a desire, you have already lost the battle. Instead, the Zen approach is one of immediate elimination and non-reactive observation. When an intrusive, lustful thought enters your mind, you do not suppress it with anger, nor do you indulge it with fantasy. You observe it like a cloud passing over a mountain. You tell yourself, "My mind is experiencing a craving. My pulse is rising. My body is seeking comfort." You watch the sensation without giving it your movement. Teishi returned to his workshop and applied this brutal simplicity. Every time his mind tried to wander toward dark, cheap distractions, he immediately anchored himself into the physical present. If the urge arrived, he immediately picked up his carving tools or began intense breathing exercises. He allowed the fire of the craving to burn itself out within his body, refusing to give it the oxygen of attention. Slowly, over 90 days of flawless execution, something terrifyingly beautiful happened. Teishi's eyes became sharp again. His hands stopped shaking. His work reached a level of precision that surpassed even his master's expectations. But the most profound change was his presence. Because he was no longer leaking his energy into cheap, unseen fantasies, he radiated an intense, quiet strength. People in his village began to notice. They remarked on how unshakable he had become. Temptations that used to bring him to his knees now had absolutely zero power over him. He had achieved kensho, clear seeing. He had eliminated the weak, fractured parts of himself that were desperate for validation and temporary pleasure. Lust promises you everything, but leaves you with nothing. Self-mastery asks for your temporary comfort, but gives you back your entire life. The ancient Zen masters left this knowledge behind not as a strict religious law, but as a practical strategy for human excellence. You possess the exact same mind, the exact same biological triggers, and the exact same potential for absolute self-control. The only question left is your willingness to close the gates. If you made it to the very end of this video, you have already proven your attention span is different from the majority. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment confirming your commitment. I am reclaiming my focus. Thank you for your valuable attention, and I will see you in the next video.